1, 2, 3. We're welcome everybody to Mom and Dad Talks, where our favorite two people are Mom and Dad. How you doing, Mom and Dad?
Hey, how you doing, Sonny boy?
Yes, you all are still living. Amen. And we got a special guest on today, Bonnie. Bonnie, hey baby DeShong. She's from Chicago radio for over 30 years, folks. She was co-host of entertainment and traffic report on WGCI, WVAZ, and WSRB. Oh, come on, folks. Right. She's been working on the sides of greats of Tom Joyner, Doug Banks, John Monds, Tony Richards, and she had her 15 minutes of fame being on one of my favorite shows, the Martin Lawrence Show. You know, as yourself, by the way. But you know, exactly. And she's a local film critic of Fox 32, guest co-host on ABC, Chicago's 190 North. I mean, I'm going on. It's the city of Chicago. Chicago works. And you write entertainment articles for Chicago, Gary Crusader newspaper, and ChicagoNow.com. But your first love is theater.
Yes.
So today, you know, let's talk about this journey. How did you get into radio if your first love is theater?
Well, I thank you for having me on, Todd. And hey, Mom and Dad, it's so good to meet you.
Oh, it's nice meeting you, Bonnie.
Well, let me tell you, I went to Illinois State University. Oh. And well, I started at Eureka College in Eureka, Illinois. And then I went to Illinois State University and I majored in theater secondary education, got a chance to move to Chicago to teach theater, realized I do not want to teach. But I stayed in Chicago, did some great theater, got my equity card and stuff. And then I met a guy by the name of Richard Pegee, who was the assistant program director for WGCI AM. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to put together a radio soap opera before it was even thought of. This was back in the 70s, guys, yes. early 80s. Mm-hmm. And he said, Bonnie, we're getting ready to start a traffic division at GCI. And I said, oh, that's nice. He said, you want to do it? And I said, I don't know how to do radio. He said, I'll teach you. And I said, oh, okay. And then I learned how to do traffic from the top of the Sears Tower, the 103rd floor of the Sears Tower, in an elevator shaft, in a cabinet that you opened up, pulled down the floor, pulled out your chair, turned on the police scanners, got your binoculars, went out on the skywalk and looked to see where the traffic was. Ooh. Okay, come back in and lied to everybody about what was going on. So yeah, that's how I got started in radio.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, you know, you literally, I mean, that's real old school. You know, I mean, I got binoculars from the Sears Tower because the Sears Tower at the time was the tallest building in the world. For those of you who don't know, before the Caliph, whatever you want to call it, Waz Khalif. But I mean, that's amazing. You did that every day.
Every day. I started off doing morning drive. No, I didn't. I started off doing afternoon drive. Uh-huh. And a young lady by the name of Brenda Montgomery, who had been doing it for a while, taught me everything. And then she got pregnant and went out on a maternity leave. So I did it in the morning and the afternoon drive. Mm-hmm. And then when Doug Banks came over, he wanted me to come into the studio. By that time, Tom Joyner was the fly jock, if you remember. Yep. Flying from Texas. He did mornings in Texas, get on a plane, fly to Chicago, do afternoons, get on a plane, fly back to Texas to be on the morning show. And no one knew that in the afternoons, the last hour of the show was he would tape it, but he would leave spaces for me to be able to answer and then do the traffic. So the one thing I learned from Tom Joyner, the first thing he said to me is, Bonnie, I lead, you follow. And he taught me how to listen so that I can actually do my job, fill it in, and make it sound like we were in the same room.
Oh man, I mean, that's an incredible story. I mean, you met so many people. I mean, famous people. I mean, you know, I got to talk about this, folks. How in the world did you get on Martin Lawrence show? I mean, you were already big time, you know, and I saw the episode, by the way, but
oh, you did?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know, I had to see that. I had to see the episode. And I love it. You know, anyway, I'm not going to tell any more about. I'm not going to steal your thunder, Bonnie. But go ahead, tell us a little. How'd you get on the Martin show?
Well, they were going to do this segment. This help me, Jesus, here. This episode called Radio Convention or Radio Conference. Yeah. And back in the day, all of us used to go to radio conferences all the time. So they flew myself and Tom Joyner out because Tom was supposed to do that line.
Oh.
And people didn't know Tom is kind of like an introvert. At that time, he was. Yes, Tom Joyner was an introvert, sort of. And so he said, Bonnie, you do it. And I'm going, I do this? They do it. And he says, no, you can do it. Do it. So they had Wendy Williams behind me, right? And I forgot the host of the show that she was co-hosting. But me being a co-host, I got to actually go up and say, hi, I'm Bonnie DeShong, WGCI Radio.
Yes. I mean, and I saw that. I was like, what? That was just like, that's the story of my life. You know what I'm saying? With my mom, and that we love it. That's why they perked up. Like my mom and dad love the Martin Lawrence show. And that's your 15 minutes of fame, so to speak. But that was.
No, it was more like 15 seconds, but it was still cool. And I still get residuals. I just got a big check for $1.49 for that show.
Wow.
Well, congratulations. You're $1.94 richer now.
Right.
So,
I'm taking it and going on vacation.
So and this is the thing I want to talk about, because for a lot of women out there in radio, that was such a, I mean, because there was a disparity with women's pay and men's pay, obviously. And you know, we're just bringing it up just because it was there and you lived an experience for a woman being on radio. I mean, it sounds like you had a lot of people help guide you and want to help you, but you had some obstacles to overcome just being a female on the radio. You didn't?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, just basic things like you always heard a man doing morning and afternoon drive time.
Right.
Women always did midday and the quiet storm.
Yes.
Okay. Because they never thought that a woman could drive morning drive or afternoon drive. Wasn't strong enough. People wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Too soft. When Doug and Tom were coming in, they were coming, white radio hosts were making big money.
Yes.
But they were two of the first Black radio hosts to make big money. As they made money, we still didn't make money. And when you think about the shows that you heard, especially the ones that had a team effort, you would see that the women were the threads that keep, even today, keep everything going and going smoothly, making sure the guys are on the right track, making sure that everything is done, making, you know, but yet and still women to this day don't make money on an average that men do. And especially the way radio stations are owned and handled now.
You know, I mean, I got to have you back on the show because, you know, I know we're coming up to the minute here because there's so much I want to talk to you about. But, you know, so much I want to talk to you, but I want to ask you a question. What is your passion now? You've been in radio for 30 years. You know, is there any new thing that you're doing that you want to tell people about or anything like that, Bonnie?
You know, right now I still do a digital show every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on Jam 98, Music for Your Soul. Bonnie's Eye and Friends. And I'm going to have you, Todd, on my show. Right now, you know, I've always had one passion all the way through, and that is my community. I've always believed that in radio, anything that you do that you're a success at, especially if you're in the public eye, you have to think about the people that put you where you are. For instance, if nobody looked at your podcast, you wouldn't have one.
Right.
So technically they are your bosses, because if they turn you off, then you're fired. You know, and I've always been like that. And growing up in Champaign and with my parents and everything, community always mattered to me. And so even now, I've been on the board of South Central Community Services here in Chicago for over 23 years, because I believe that, and watching the way our youth have changed from back in the day when I was growing up to now, and what I'm seeing them have to go through. You know, it's horrible. So if we turn our back on our community, then where would we be? And Black people as a whole, we have always before, I would say maybe 10, 20 years ago, we knew every neighbor in our neighborhood. We knew every kid. We'd watch out for them when they were coming back and forth to school. If they acted like they didn't have any sense, all you had to do was come out on your porch and say, hey. And then that would straighten them up because they knew you were going to tell their mama, and then their mama was going to get on them, you know. But now you can't go outside your door. You don't know who lives next door to you. You can't jump out and say, hey, to a kid if they're doing something wrong, because they're going to cuss you out or shoot you or whatever. And then their mama going to come down and cuss you out and whatever. So my hope is that we as people of color, and I hate to say, I'm not saying I don't care about nobody else, but I know what we are capable of, that we will again come together and be the people that God created us to be, and stop trying to assimilate what those other people are, and bring our communities back together.
No, I mean that's beautiful, and it's interesting here. I'm going to turn over to mom and dad because I'm sure dad's got a question, mom's got a question for you. It's the wild card. It's interesting that your dad, my dad, and you had the same kind of background. He's a teacher. He was in theater. He stayed a teacher. You got in the radio and you got famous. So, my dad's now becoming famous. But anyway, dad, mom and dad, you have any questions for Bond before we go?
Oh, let's see.
My only question is, how do I get to hear what WGCI?
No.
WGCI is, you can go to iHeartRadio for WGCI and you can pull them up. Now, if you want to hear me, you can download the app that says Jam 98, Music for Your Soul. And then check us out. We play all kinds of different kind of music from, you may hear something that from Tony Bennett, all the way to house music, all the way to, I was born in the 50s. So, I like all the good old stuff that, that wasn't as explicit as it is today, because it let your imagination go with you, So you'll hear everything. And on my show, Bonnie's Eye and Friends, I usually do an interview with someone. And then we talk a little bit about what's going on. And then we play some cleanup music because it's a Saturday morning. You need some good music to clean up your house too. And it's an hour long. And so just download Jam 98 music.
Jam 98. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, download it and support my sister Bonnie, folks. Listen to her; she's great, and it's good, clean listening music. I mean, I'm missing that because everything's just turned raunchy now. I mean,
right.
TV and everything.
Back in the day, Mr. and Mrs. Hunt, when they were playing them songs like Fading Away and all this other good stuff, and you were down in the basement with the blue light and everything growing up and dancing and stuff, your imagination was able to go and imagine what you wanted to say or do with your boyfriend or girlfriend. But now they just come on out and tell you what they're going to do.
That's right. That's right. I know we went on a trip to North Carolina, and I tell you, the only music out there was, that was it. I was trying my best to find some soul station somewhere, but there ain't none.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
You have to get satellite radio, Dad. So with that, Mom, do you have any other questions before we let Bonnie go tonight?
Well, do you have children, Bonnie?
I do not. I have never been married. I've never been engaged. I never had children. I'm still waiting for the man that God created for me.
All right.
I think he must be over across them seas somewhere trying to figure out how to swim or drink the water to get to me. But I just haven't met that right guy yet.
Well, I know I got some good men out there that would love to meet you, but you guys text me first and stuff like that. And I got to weed through that first before I introduce you to my friend here now. Right. And before we go, I got to give a shout out to our mutual friend now, AJ Parker. AJ, thank you so much for introducing me to Bonnie. I gotta give a shout out to my sister, and I love her dearly. Come on,
that's my Babes and Company. One day, next time, we'll talk about Babes and Company and how.
Yes. Yes, we'll definitely do. So till next time, I want you guys to have a wonderful day there. And remember, the struggle is real, but don't give up.
That's
You know what I'm saying? And stay positive.
Right.
So till next time, we'll see you on Mom and Dad Talks.
Okay.
Okay.